Hello, Kirby again, as we launch into the 19th episode of Zoo Crew Revue, where we will be reviewing the 18th issue of Captain Carrot and his amazing zoo crew and pair it with the classic Looney Tunes short, Alibaba Bunny. Our cover is penciled and inked once again by Rick Hoberg. Special Rebels Without Much of a Cause issue, which unfortunately doesn't really pertain to any of the stories inside and feels like a good enough tagline because every issue has had one. This time out is a much better use of Hoberg's talents, however, with Fastback painting a big X over the series title as Yankee Poodle admires a poster with all of the other characters' logos, as shown throughout the series and in their Who's Who entries, that Alley-Kat-Abra and Rubberduck are hanging on a wall, as Pig Iron stares daggers at Captain Carrot, who's just squinting at the reader and thumbing back in annoyance at his teammates. It's about time we got our names on the cover, right, gang? Yeah, we got title logos too, y'all. You ain't lying. For sure. Way to go, darlings. They think I care? I was getting tired of carrying this team of turkeys. A lot of personality goes a long way with this cover. Again, even if it doesn't quite fit the interior, and actually probably would have worked much better for last issue, this issue has a cover date of August 1983, on sale date May 26th, 1983. We will cover the individual stories credits as we go along. Our prologue and epilogue is written and edited once again by Roy Thomas, penciled by Rick Hoberg, inked by Sal Trapani, with the colors for the whole issue being Carl Gafford. Our prologue begins with Rodney Rabbit, Felina Fur, and Timmy Joe Terrapin walking outside of the Z building as they exposit. Now don't lag behind Timmy Joe, cause Felina and I have got some shopping to do before we go off on our vacation. Sure was lucky I getting those complimentary tickets for an ocean cruise, just after Pig Iron broke all of the water pipes in the Z building. Well, the ship's captain Dunbar Dodo just wanted to repay the zoo crew for saving his lust boat from Frogzilla a while back. Maybe so, but after all that excitement with the just a lot of animals and the dreadnought, a trip to a shopping center sure will be boring. And the comic book of life, this trip ain't gonna be nothing but a little old fill-in issue. Given that this is the only time Captain Carrot appears in this issue, barring a one-panel preview at the end, it really feels like an episode of Magnum P.I. where Tom Selleck needed a week off, so he just made his barest minimum required amount of screen time. And I will say, a friendly piece of advice, I know this is a fill-in issue, but please do not draw attention to it. All that does is make me focus in on the weaknesses of it all the more. And while I do not mind the concept of 3 short stories in an issue, 2 in a row was just a bad move as it really kills the momentum of the series. I now cannot really help but wonder just how far behind schedule the team was at this point. We cut inside as Yankee Poodle is directing Rubberduck and Pig Iron on where to put water-damaged items. The dryer goes on the right. Be careful with that TV, bird. And Pig Iron, why don't you take that file cabinet and... Careful, Rover. He might have a few ideas of his own. Yeah! Well, I guess that's the thanks I get for my trouble. May I remind you, Mr. Porkchops, I'm not the reason your plumber friend Wolfie is hard at work for $48.50 an hour. $48.50 in May 1983 would be $163.27 in June 2026. Sorry, that's just the accountant in me. Pig Iron trips over a stretched out rubber duck, spilling files with each teammate's name on them. Hey, look at what fell out of them files. Merely accounts of solo exploits of the Zoo Crew. I do still own media rights, you recall. How could we? You ain't reminded us about it since yesterday. Wonder if there's any juicy tidbits in there. The spilled files really feels like a very Roy Thomas move. I swear that there are a few issues of All-Star Squadron that have this exact same setup. Our first story, Alley-Kat-Abra in The Great Gnudini, was written by Nicola Cuddy, penciled by Stan Goldberg, inked by Larry Houston, and lettered by Todd Klein. I am glad that Alley-Kat-Abra had another backup waiting in the wings, But I do find the lack of a Yankee Poodle one most telling. So, like, I'm not reading any of the letters pages, so I can't help but think that her being the least popular member was a common opinion. Our sorceress's story opens with Felina Fur watching Harry Gnudini's water escape magic trick in the Magpie Castle as two literal police dogs interrupt the show. Don't let that bilious bison escape! He's really Willy Wildebeest, the bank robber! Water rats! The canine coppers are on to me! Magpie Castle for Magic Castle is a good pun and parody of a Hollywood landmark, and I do love that in the Great Darkness saga, it is still around, but now home to actual magical artifacts and tomes. As soon as Gnudini hits the water, he vanishes, leaving only his chains behind, to the amazement of his assistants and the police, who are quick to start checking backstage. In all of the commotion, Felina Fur ducks behind her balcony's curtains and magics herself into Alley-Kat-Abra. In disbelief that Gnudini is a criminal, her illusions are quickly dispelled as she hears the bank robber turned escapologist confess as he starts lowering himself into his steamer trunk backstage. Alley-Kat-Abra is not one to let a criminal go free, so she soon casts some spells as the police soon join her. Steamer trunk filled with surprises. Steam like hot air also rises. And to be sure we've trapped this punk, let's wrap some chains around the trunk. I hate chants, but Magic Wanda loves them. Alley-Kat-Abra keeps the chained up trunk floating in midair as the most Irish police dog is ready to make the arrest as soon as she drops the trunk, only for them all to find it bafflingly empty. The lassie showed you, Willie. Trickery is no match for real magic. So, nothing can hold me, eh? Not cuffs, not shackles, not jails. Begorla, you've buffaloed us for the last time. The guy's uncanny. The most Irish police dog fills in Alley-Kat-Abra on who the crook is, as she spots a P.T. Barnum carnival on Gnudini's trunk before flying off to find the carnival. And we don't know who he really is or where he came from. One day he was just there, robbing banks. He has no priors. It's like he came out of nowhere. Everyone has a history, Captain, and I think I have a clue where a piece of Gnudini's story might be. Okay, just because you have a sticker is no indication of a resume, so that is a little leap in logic. Also, if Earthsea's history is anything like ours, this would have to be P.T. Barnum's grandson, as Barnum was dead about 100 years before this story takes place. Alley-Kat-Abra quickly finds the panda owner of the circus while he leans on a ticket booth, chomping on a big cigar. P.T., I'm looking for someone who might have worked for you. He calls himself Harry Gnudini or... Ah, yes, Weird Willie. He came from some far-off domain. I made the lad a star, and the ungrateful beast ran out on me. Like, look, I get the Barnum pun, but he should have been a dog, so he'd be a literal carnival barker. After directing Alley-Kat-Abra to Madame Pantha's fortune-telling tent, he is quick to hit on her. Say, kitten, Gnudini's spot is still open. Wanna be a sideshow mage? As a sideline? Not my cup of catnip, P.T. Alley-Kat-Abra dashes into the tent to find Madame Pantha sitting at her crystal ball. Hello, Madame Pantha. Come in, Alley-Kat-Abra. I know why you are here. Your crystal ball told you? No, the papers. I read them too. That's Willie. He's a bad one. When we broke up, he left one of his trunks with me. Maybe there is something inside useful to you. Ooh, now say nuclear vessels. No! Really the most surprising thing on this page is that it turns out P.T. Barnum isn't part of Gnudini's crime wave. Alley-Kat-Abra and Madame Pantha ponder what Gnudini would want with an old bottle as they open the trunk, as the Blue Gnu bursts into the scene. Put the bottle down! Sure. I don't take what doesn't belong to me. But to her surprise, Gnudini is soon shooting actual magical bolts at her from between his horns. Take them and smother! Not while I have my magic Wanda. Your magic cannot equal the power of ancient sorcery. My magic is ancient sorcery, and I'll cannibalize you with it! You see, kids, foreshadowing is your key to quality literature. As Gnudini is chasing Alley-Kat-Abra into the fairway, she's having to think quick on her feet, running into a hall of mirrors, hoping a stray spell will reflect back on the foe himself. This has become a true bottle of battle of wizardry. Why did I say bottle? In the hall, Gnudini's reflections soon surround our hero, but before he can make his move, Alley-Kat-Abra conjures up a force field and reveals his secret.
What? What's this? A force field? That won't stop me for long.
This one will. Gnudini the Genie? In the Hall of Mirrors, Gnudini's face gets a little wonky, and I don't think it's on purpose. Gnudini curses the fact that he spent millennia trapped in a bottle, as Alley-Kat-Abra reveals her magic trick. It is not a force field she's trapped him in, but his own bottle. Samantha led me to your bottle. She was the one who found you, right? I suppose she felt responsible, but she couldn't bring herself to tell me your weakness. In spite of all you did, she still loved you. I'll never understand why. She shrinks the bottle down and launches it into the night sky. Goodbye, and don't feel obliged to write. You know what they say. No news is good news. Solid pun to end the story on. I think this story is overall good. It moves quickly and the jokes work. And what I initially took to the Blue New just being a Babe the Blue Ox reference, in fact being a classic Genie design reference, I think was a great setup that only makes sense on the second read. On to our next tale, Fastback in Here Comes the Sun, written by Jim Engel, art by Ernie Chan, and letters by Tom Orzechowski. In general, I like Ernie Chan's art, but unfortunately I really do hate his take on Fastback. He is too elongated and human proportioned, with very small, beady eyes. It is especially a letdown compared to last issue's John Costanza's art, which I thought was one of the best takes on the reptilian rocket. Luckily, our other main character looks pretty good, looking closer to Barney the Bear from MGM cartoons more than anything else. Our story opens with Timmy Joe Terrapin in his latest job as janitor at a local TV station. While he mops the floors, the channel's weatherman enters the room sweating profusely while dressed in a knit cap, scarf, winter coat, and galoshes. Again, this isn't Follywood.
103 degrees! I can't understand it! I was sure that Himalayan blizzard was headed this way. Well, if it isn't our ace weatherman, Stanley Storm Clouds brewing. What can we expect tomorrow, Storm Clouds? Locusts? Meteor showers?
But Timmy Joe doesn't join in on the sniping, only thinking to himself,
I sure feel sorry for Mr. Bruin. He tries hard enough, but he's about as accurate as a one-handed wristwatch.
Bruin quickly makes his way to the radar station, but notices a lot of interference on the radar. Timmy Joe offers to help, but Bruin just thanks him, saying old Betsy up on the roof needs his special touch. As Bruin fiddles with the radar, he just thinks to himself,
Doggone this thing! It's so temperamental! Last time I fooled with it, the radar screen showed non-stop I Love Moosey reruns for 3 days! Can't be too careful with it!
Unbeknownst to him, a cargo plane hits massive turbulence, causing a giant telescope lens for the Mount Palomino Observatory to burst from the hull and start dropping to the Earth. As the lens drops, it catches the sun's rays and begins to fry poor Bruin as he works on the dish. Or, as our narrator tells us, it's been said that from an airplane, those below look like ants. On this ill-fated day, Stanley Stormclouds Bruin got that one better, for at this moment he also feels like an ant. Hot chihuahua! And as the intensely hot rays of the sun are magnified through the magnetic telescope lens, it looks like as though our woe-begone weathercaster's final forecast will be sunny and warmer with a probable chance of incineration. As we look at what appears to be a pile of Bruin's ashes, of course he begins to recover, though he notices that his body is starting to get much brighter and heating up, and then in a flash of light is magically in his supervillain costume.
Why, I can turn my super hot form into an incredible blinding light at will. I'm surging with power and looking none too shabby in this sun motif costume, which has materialized like something out of a comic book.
While this is far from the dumbest supervillain origin story I've read in this series or others, it did not need to take up 2 pages of very limited real estate. Though I do think the Solar Bear costume is pretty spiffy, with the sun collar around his neck and all of that. That evening, Timmy Joe kicks back and turns on the news report at the Z building, briefly putting on a pair of Bird's discarded sunglasses, but taking them off as Bruin comes on screen.
Hello, everybody. I think you'll find my report tonight a little different.
I hope for his sake that mine's accurate. As audiences around Follywood gather to watch another Bruin blunder.
Think he'll predict another solar eclipse?
Nah, 12 in 1 week would be too much even for him. As the weatherman continues,
for it is a forecast of doom for all of you who tune in every night to witness my failures and laugh at me, mock me. You've made my life miserable. The fact is, you don't think I'm too bright, do you? Well, behold the sunny TV personality of Solar Bear. And now, while you helpless fools wander blindly about, it is Solar Bear who will do the laughing as he robs and plunders at will.
His flash of light blinds even those watching through the TV screens. Solar Bear? Solid name. Even poor Timmy Joe is blinded, but knows he has to defeat Solar Bear. Quickly changing into Fastback, he decides to re-don Bird's sunglasses. Maybe I ought to wear Bird's dark glasses so his folks can say I'm blind. Don't quite follow the logic there. In no time, he confronts Solar Bear at the TV station, quickly launching himself at the menace. You can save your ultra-violent rays, Fireface, 'cause I don't much feel like slipping into my swimsuit. Tell you all what I will do, though. I'll slip into my shell and let you have it, projectile style. Some solid wordplay here, and I do like the narrations calling him the hard-backed Hermes. Unfortunately, Solar Bear turns the tables by grappling the shell into a bear hug.
As long as you're in the neighborhood, Numbshell, let me greet you with a warm embrace.
Before you can say turtle soup, which Fastback did again, he pops out of his shell to do the tried and true speed run tornado of punches. He is just making the room even hotter. So he decides to double down on the attack, overheating Solar Bear so much that he goes supernova and flames himself out. I really wish we had more than a page and a half of a fight to resolve this. Fastback stands over his defeated foe, who has now turned back into his usual bumbling self. I forecast that things will be cooling off for the rest of the evening. With him wearing the sunglasses, in my head I put in the CSI Miami theme. Through the cheers of the newsroom, they tell Fastback that they are so blind. Our hero turns to the TV cameras and tells them to put on sunglasses, and soon their eyes will adjust back to normal. And if they don't own a pair, to go out and buy some. Out of nowhere, a businessman rushes and slaps him on the back because he is the owner of the world's foremost sunglasses manufacturer. That ends this story on out-of-nowhere thud of a joke, and just left a bad taste in my mouth. I actually think Solar Bear could have held his own full issue, especially as it takes 3 of the 7 pages to really get this story going. And had this series continued, I would have liked to have seen him return. Maybe as part of a Legion of Doom type team with our other one-shot and recurring villains, and what I'm dubbing the Crass Menagerie. This story does not do anyone any favors. The art is a little weird, the jokes fall flat, and it does not know how to use the pages it has. I hate to say Fastback story was my least favorite in the issue, but here we are. Our final short is Rubberduck and You Scream Ice Cream. Written by Jim Ingle again, penciled by Rick Hoberg, inked by Larry Houston, and lettered by David Cody Weiss. Things open up in Burbank as Bird Rentals is being driven around in a limo discussing with Bassett and Robbins his promotional tour of their ice cream stores. At their next stop, they are aghast at what they see as people are running out as a barrage of ice cream is being hurled at them. Boy, when you guys give away free samples, you don't fool around. This place has gone bananas, and we'd better split. The chain owners go to see what's causing the commotion, leaving their movie star waiting in the limo. Bird, not wasting an instant, stretches himself thin into the limo's trunk, coming out the other side as Rubberduck. We are then treated to a wonderful drawing of Rubberduck stretching in the ice cream store like he's Mr. Fantastic, as the store's manager, Garrison Gorilla, cowers behind the glass. It's some kind of crazy machine, firing frozen food with fantastic force. Now that I know that, how the heck do I stop it? Don't break it! It's my masterpiece! It just needs a little adjustment. I do have to wonder if Rubberduck was Hoberg's favorite character. He always just does such a fantastic job of drawing him. Rubberduck solves the problem by cutting the Gordian knot and unplugging the device. With the machine shut down, Bassett and Robbins are rightfully quick to chastise and fire Garrison Gorilla for all the problems he has caused, including wasting company ice cream to build a device no one asked for. Gorilla makes threats, but Robbins just tells him he's lucky they aren't pressing charges. Rubberduck sneaks back into the limo, changing back into Bird. Once again, this series does more for secret identities than any modern serious superhero comics. That evening, Gorilla has not left his former store, toiling in the deep freeze in the back. For Garrison Gorilla, this is his last night in the freezer workshop in the back of store number 386. The workshop in which he has spent all his evenings these past months, deep in thought as he labored over his disastrous devices. Unaware of the numbing coldness of his surroundings. Excellent, by combining components from my past failures, I have devised the ultimate weapon. Unaware of the cold, but not immune to it, for these many months in the deep freeze have gradually frozen the gorilla's brain, leaving him in a condition which might be best described by the name of Bassett and Robbins' flavor of the month, naughty but nutty. Did Engel realize between writing the two stories he only needed to do an origin in one panel? His work complete, Garrison Gorilla dons his supervillain costume, looking like a combination of an ice cream cone and Mr. Freeze's 60s costume. He makes his way into Bassett and Robbins' headquarters, cornering the two owners. Now I have my revenge on Mr. Bassett and Mr. Robin, armed with my deadly scoop gun, and clad in this special costume, designed to strike fear into the hearts of dentists everywhere. Good evening, gentlemen. Allow me to introduce myself. I am your frozen fate. I am King Kone. I've just finished contaminating your entire ice cream stock with food poisoning. Tomorrow it'll be shipped out, and something tells me your clientele may just cease to patronize your stores after they've spent a few days on the bathroom floors, groaning in agony. See, this is how you give an origin and motivation to a cold-themed supervillain. Still complaining about you, Cold Turkey. King Kone tells the two to turn their company over to him, or else, before blasting them with his scoop gun. Next morning, Bird calls the company about where his limo is. This is Bassett and Robbins Inc. In observance of National Ice Cream Decade, we will be closed for the next 10 years. If you wish to leave a message. Changing into Rubberduck, he makes his way to the HQ lickety-split. Once inside, he finds Bassett and Robbins suspended upside down above a vat of boiling ice cream, tied to popsicle sticks. They scream for help with their word balloons upside down, as this series always does. Rubberduck frees the pair, but not before King Kone starts attacking with his scoop gun. I've got 33 flavors, Duck, and they're all deadly. You guys better get out of here, whilst I engage in a cold war with this bombastic baboon. As the fight begins, we get a really great POV shot from King Kone's perspective as Rubberduck stretches and twists his way out of his ice cream ammo. King Kone decides he needs to make this a close quarters fight and starts making his way towards the business offices. Hey, don't run off.
I've saved you my special Sunday punch.
As soon as Rubberduck follows him into an office, King Kone starts flooding the floors waist deep with ice cream.
Ha ha ha! Revenge, like ice cream, is sweet.
Rubberduck dives down to try and buy himself some time, but he nearly freezes himself out before getting an idea. Rubberduck stretches himself into King Kone's scoop gun ice cream bucket, taunting the villain.
Hey, fudgesicle face, I'm over here. Where? Show yourself, you anthropomorphic inner tube. Not unless you say pretty please, Cone. Where are you? I can hear you, but I can't see you. Pretty please, with a cherry on top. You dare mock me? I'll simply blast you away until I hit you at last.
Enraged, King Kone fires the scoop gun, ejecting Rubberduck, who coils himself up hitting a wall before bouncing back and KOing King Kone. Elongated man couldn't have done it better himself. Bassett and Robbins come back with the police, thanking a shivering Rubberduck and rewarding him not only with a lifetime supply of ice cream, but also a flavor named after him.
Rubber Road, Marshmallow Mallard, Pin Feather Pineapple, Strawberry Stretch, Waterfowl Watermelon.
While taking notes for this issue, I conflated Baskin Robbins with Ben & Jerry's, and by the time I realized my mistake, I had already made other flavors for the rest of the Zoo Crew. Captain Carrot Cake, Alley-Kat-Abra, Yankee Snickerpoodle, Fastback Rocky Road, and Piggly Wriggly Iron. It is amazing how much more I liked Engel's work on the Rubberduck story than the Fastback one. I actually had to go back and check to make sure it was really the same guy. The punchlines alone are night and day. This is also just a dramatic upgrade from Rubberduck's tale from last issue. Total stamp of approval from me on this one. Our epilogue is Pig Iron shoving the files back into the cabinet while giving Yankee Poodle a hard time, before tempting fate with a half-page ad for next issue.
Now that you mention it, darling, my Mercedes-Benz has a flat tire and I don't have a jack, so perhaps you could... I'm warning you, Yankee Poodle, you're pushing it.
Or I might as well help her out, Bird. After all, soon as them other three get back from shopping, it's off to the high seas for the ever-zestful Zoo Crew. Then it'll be nothing but lolling around for a couple of weeks, right?
Overall, this issue is nowhere near as bad as the Cold Turkey fill-in story, but still, do not advertise 2 issues in advance in the comic itself. If it seems that the creators don't care about the next issue, why should the readers? And maybe that contributed to the cancellation. While I don't mind the format of this issue, having it be back-to-back with last issue was a mistake. It really kills all the momentum. All of the same stories, maybe with a second pass on Fastbacks, done as issue 29 would have made a lot of difference. Again, once a year type deal. Another change that I would have made is if we don't want a Captain Carrot story to be in this issue to have the cover make any sense, have a Yankee Poodle tale in here too, and even reintroduce Little Cheese with his own solo adventure. Well, next time is the penultimate issue of the ongoing series. And with that, let's get on to our Looney Tunes pairing. Alibaba Bunny was originally released February 9th, 1957. The short was directed by Chuck Jones, story by Michael Maltese, starring Mel Blanc, edited by Trig Brown, music by Carl Stalling and Milt Franklin, animation by Richard Thompson, Ken Harris, Abe Levitow, Ben Wesham, and Harry Love, with layouts by Maurice Noble and backgrounds by Philip DeGard. With the Zoo Crew being delayed on going on a trip and the use of a genie in Alley-Kat-Abra's story, I thought that Alibaba Bunny would be a good pairing as it includes both of these aspects. Again, when are they going to get to the fireworks factory? I did not want to do a review on A Lad in His Lamp, where Bugs deals with a Jim Backus voiced genie, because I found it to be aggressively mediocre. And even if I did want to do a Thurston Howell III impression, I really cannot believe this is the first time I'm covering a full-on Bugs and Daffy short, as they really are the Tunes' funniest, and their dynamic is nothing short of iconic. Like any good team-up, the two play wonderfully against each other, Bugs' calmness and Daffy's greed just both getting exaggerated to wonderful effect. Daffy's jealousy of Bugs is a wonderful idea that was a great development choice by Termite Terrace to play with the fact that Bugs had usurped Daffy's role as number one star, and Daffy's personality would not fit into a quiet sidekick role like Porky did when Daffy usurped him being number one. So just leading into this short, for any fans of SportsCenter, this is where Rich Eisen pulled the Hassan chop from when he showed a baseball player tossing his bat in disgust, and this same phrase is used as a title track from the Offspring's Let the Bad Times Roll album, which I mostly mention because sometimes I am just pure millennial trash. Our short opens with the title and Jones's credit being written in what I can only describe as an Arabian Nights font, as a rich sultan closes his treasure cave with a "Close Sesame," and tells his guard Hassan to let no one enter or else. And of course, as soon as the Sultan leaves, we see a trademark Bugs Bunny burrow trail go right under Hassan and into the cave. We get a nice bit of Hassan ready to follow the men, but he can't remember the password he just heard and starts guessing. Open sarsaparilla? Open Saskatchewan? Open septuagenarian? Open saddle soap? And then in frustration just bellows a Hassan chop! Meanwhile, inside the cave, Bugs and Daffy pop out of the burrow, with Daffy clearing the dirt out of his ears. The pair expecting to be at Pismo Beach and all the clams they could eat. Bugs soon realizes he made a mistake, and we get a classic, should have made a left turn at Albuquerque. Daffy is not listening, as he immediately spots the mountain of treasure and begins salivating and licking his beak. We get some great animation work here again, especially eye animation. Bugs is either not noticing or not caring, as Daffy starts stomping on Bugs to get back down in the hole. It's mine, you understand? Mine! All mine! Get back in there! Down, down, down! Go, go, go! Mine, mine, mine! Before diving into the treasure like a certain greedy Disney duck. I'm rich! I'm wealthy! Yahoo! I'm comfortably well off! These few bits from Daffy I think are all-timers and reason alone to cover this short. Hassan eventually recalls the password and barrels in to deal with the intruders. Daffy's just loading a trolley full of treasure singing, "We're in the money." As soon as he comes face to face with Hassan, he assumes he's just an assistant and asks him to call a cab. Hassan just brings his sword down, splintering the hat Daffy was wearing in two, along with a few of the feathers on top of his head. Daffy, realizing he's not dead, flees and uses a giant gem to try and bribe Bugs to save him, but Bugs just brushes him off nonchalantly without saying a word. We hear another Hassan chop! Daffy tries to sell out Bugs, but Bugs has already dressed himself up like a genie and squeezed himself into a bottle. Bugs tells Hassan that he is the genie of the lamp, and will offer him a rich reward. This of course fools our foe as he shakes Bugs free from the bottle. Bugs does a wonderfully animated dance, spouting magic nonsense like "iggity aggity oop" before telling Hassan that the treasure is now his. Daffy sardonically mocks Bugs' act even if it just saved his life. Iggity aggity oop. Bugs goes outside to survey the desert and figure out how to get to Pismo Beach, only to see Daffy running out of the cage carrying a massive diamond with a Hassan chop not far behind. Daffy again begs Bugs for safety, who decides to reluctantly save his greedy friend. As Hassan turns the corner on a sand dune, Bugs has disguised himself and tells the guard that Daffy has climbed up the rope hanging in midair, an old Indian-style rope trick. Hassan climbs the rope high into the clouds, but Bugs pulls the rope and Hassan just vanishes. Daffy pokes his eyes out from Bugs' turban, confirming that the coast is clear. Daffy has then quickly cleared out the treasure trove, filling a massive trolley and looking for any straggling items, finding a dusty old lamp. Cleaning it off, the lamp releases an actual genie, but Daffy's greed gets the better of him and stomps on the genie back down into the lamp, repeating the "mine, mine, mine" bit from earlier. This, of course, angers the genie and zaps Daffy. And our short ends with Bugs having finally made his way to Pismo Beach and opening clams, wondering how Daffy made out, only to discover that one clam has a pearl inside, and Daffy, now only a few inches tall, bursts from Bugs' burrow, and ends the short with a rule of threes with another mine, mine, mine bit, as Bugs just rolls his eyes and closes the clam with a close sesame. This short is a top tenner, extremely quotable, beautifully animated, and the way Bugs and Daffy play off each other is nothing short of excellent. There's not a wasted moment in this short. Every joke lands. If there's some reason you have not seen this cartoon, I highly recommend you stop whatever you're doing and seek it out. One final note, definitely consider this review a foreshadowing for at least one of the pairings for the Oz Wonderland War trilogy. And I've got nothing left to say, but that's all, folks!